going on, guys? We are here to talk about a new SDHQ built product. Now, I'm sure all of you are very familiar with our SDHQ built line of ARB compressor mounts. Well, unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, ARB came out with their new brushless compressor. But of course, they couldn't make it simple for us. They had to change all the dimensions and the mounting bolt pattern. What does that mean for us? Well, our mounts have to change or adapt. So Garrett and the guys have been in the shop making sure that our mounts are either going to be accessible and functional with the ARB brushless mount, or how we can adapt it. So here you're going to see the standard mount and our old standard compressor mount, but we've got the new hotness out here on the table. So I got Garrett out of the office into the shop to tell us all about it. Garrett, can you tell us about our new ARB compressor mount for the second Gen Tundra?
So we've gone ahead and redesigned the mount, as well as upgrading the material from 11 gauge to 10 gauge, just to give you a little bit added rigidity as far as material thickness goes. We've even added an extra mounting point to the compressor mount. Again, just making sure that mount is more rigid than it ever was before. We've gone ahead and added all the original bolt patterns of the standard, as well as a new bolt pattern for the ARB dual brushless as well.
We've got duals and we've got singles?
Yes, so the singles, standard and brushless will also bolt up to this mount.
Right on. And so now I know when ARB came out with this new brushless, they are offering their new mount. So what I want you to do is, if you could, tell us about their new mount that comes with the brushless compressor, our new mount, and some of the benefits of running our mount versus theirs. And will their mount work on our compressor mount? Tell me more.
So the new mount supplied with the ARB brushless is a clamp style mount. It also features a new bolt pattern. That mount will be fine, but we've decided to go ahead and step it up a bit further by adding a rigid bolt-on solution that bolts directly to your compressor, so you don't ever have to worry about that clamp coming loose and dropping your compressor when you're off-roading your vehicle hard. As well as adding the benefits of having a rigid solution, we've gone ahead and created accessories that'll bolt onto this base mount, since there wasn't many bolt-on solutions on just the brushless compressor itself.
Right on. So it looks like we've got some of those accessories here. So all of these are meant to work with our brushless mount. Tell me a little bit about what we've got here.
So we'll go ahead and start with our air chuck mount. If you're looking to add just an air chuck mount bolted onto the side of your compressor, we do have our new air chuck mount that'll bolt right onto the base mount. If the air chuck right off your compressor is not what you're looking for, as always, we do have our billet bulkhead. You can go ahead and mount that on the inside of your beds or any of your aftermarket bumpers and have a nice clean solution for that. Coming up next, we do have our stainless switch mount. If you're looking to have your switch bolted right off your compressor base, we have that option right here. If that's not something you'd like to do, we also have our injection molded recess switch mount. Again, that's something you can put inside of your bed or locate it inside of your vehicle for a nice clean flush switch mounting solution. If you're someone and you want to run both your air chuck and switch mount in one easy mount, we've gone ahead and created our brushless air chuck switch mount. That is verified fitment on this mount and bolts directly to the side of the ARB brushless mount as well.
So I know on the second Gen Tundra, at least on ours here, we're going to be installing the switch and the chuck mount. So we'll get that mounted up there and show you that all of these will work with plenty of options. No matter where you want to switch, no matter where you want to chuck, this mount is going to have an option for you. Next on the list is wiring. You've got your hard parts, you've got it installed. We got to get power. Here's our extension harness. Garrett, tell me a little bit about that.
So unfortunately, the ARB harness, supplied harness, is a little bit too short for this mount. Don't worry, we've got you covered whether or not you're running a standard dual compressor or the brushless compressor. We'll have a 9-foot extension harness for you. With the new brushless wiring harness, they did move the pressure switch outside of the compressor housing. So we've gone ahead and created an extra wiring harness here for easy serviceability when installing or maybe needing to change that pressure switch in the future.
Right on. Like I said, plenty of options, all with that SDHQ built quality that you know and love. Now that we've talked about it, let's get under the hood and get one installed on this second Gen Tundra.
Before you start the install, you're going to want to make sure you have all your tools laid out necessary for the install, which would be a ratchet, an extension, 1/2-inch socket, a 10mm socket, 8mm socket, a 5/32 hex key, as well as a 10mm wrench. To start the install, we're going to go ahead and remove the air box. That'll be using our 10mm. Sometimes the bolt on the intake tube will be an 8mm, which is why the 8mm is in the instructions, so use whatever is needed for your application. After that, we're going to go ahead and unclip your MAF sensor. Just go ahead and toss that plug out of the way for now once it's removed. With those disconnected, we're going to do the 2 10mm bolts down at the bottom of your air box, one in the front and one in the rear. Now for the bolt at the rear. With our hose clamp loosened, is our MAF sensor done, and our 2 bolts holding in the air box loosened, we're going to go ahead and remove the air box from the vehicle. With the air box being removed, your intake hose or your intake tube is open to the environment. It's not a bad idea to throw a rag or a towel in there to make sure no debris or anything ends up in your intake. Just don't forget to remove that when you're done with the install. With the air box out of the way, we're now going to prep the vehicle by loosening and removing all the OEM bolts for all our mounting hardware. We're going to start with the 2 off the Firewall bracket, then we're going to move to the 10mm nut located to the right of it as well. With the upper bolts removed, we're now going to remove the 2 bolts at the bottom of the fuse box, again, both 10mm. First, we're going to install our Firewall bracket 1 using the first 2 10mm bolts we removed. Next, we're going to install Firewall bracket number 2. This slides behind the wiring harness bracket. Again, it'll go behind the wiring harness bracket on the stud that we removed the nut from earlier. With both of those mounts in, we're going to do the last side bracket now, using one of the front 10mm bolts we removed from the fuse box earlier. With all of our supporting brackets in, we can go ahead and lay our main compressor mount on top of the front 10mm bolt we removed from the fuse box and align all the other brackets up with the holes in the mount. With everything aligned with our supporting brackets, we're going to go ahead and install the 3 5/16 bolts and washers in the back. You can loosely thread them in at the beginning. Once all 3 are installed, you can then tighten them up completely. Next, we're going to grab our 2 1/4" button head bolts, and we're going to install those using that 5/32 Allen key we talked about into our side support bracket. Once they're both installed, go ahead and snug them down. Now with our main compressor mount completely installed, you can install the compressor and compressor mount of your choice. For this specific install, we've chosen to go ahead and use our brushless base with our air chuck switch mount installed on the side of it. When installing this, make sure to have your compressor already installed in the base mount, as well as any accessories you want on the base mount. For the final complete install, we've chosen to go with our brushless base mount. We are going to show how you would mount the clamp style mount supplied with your brushless dual compressor. You're going to want to go ahead and lay that on top and line it up with the hole patterns in the mount. What you want to do is use the supplied carriage bolts that come with the mount, going from underneath, locking it into place, drop the washer and nylock nut, and then you can install all these bolts before finally tightening them down. Again, they're carriage bolts, so the square profile on the inside of the bolt will hold them in place, and you just need to tighten the nut. So we're going to completely install our brushless compressor using a brushless base mount. We would recommend installing your brushless compressor in the base mount and any other accessories you want for the install. In this case, we do have our air chuck switch mount fully loaded and pre-installed on the side before we place it on the mount. We're going to be using the flange head M6 bolts that come with the brushless base for this install. Go ahead and line it up on the mount. Once aligned, take your flange bolts and install them from below. With a few of those bolts installed into the mount, you do have a bit of adjustment here, so go ahead and adjust it into your desired position and then tighten the remaining bolts on the bottom. Once you've done all of your routing as far as your wiring harness and everything goes, using an extension, and if you have any other air lines to route, in this case it would be a short run right here to our air chuck, but if you're running our bulkhead, go ahead and run that to the rear. You can go ahead and install air box in the reverse order. This product will also work with our washer fluid relocation, as well as our air pumper kit, making sure there's plenty of room on the side mount for both of those products in this engine bay.
And that wraps up an in-depth look at our second gen Toyota Tundra ARB compressor mount, both for the standard and brushless compressors. All the links for these products are going to be in the description, so head on over to our website and get yours today.